Okay, we're picking up where we left off, and I had asked you to go ahead and do problem 3B, and it is an example of trying to locate somebody based on their last name. So let's read it. List all of the students who have a last name of Miller. We want to see their last and their first name. And then I'm throwing this in, the order by clause. I keep kind of gradually working that into the lectures. We want to list them in order based on their last name, which would be your major key, and then the first name, which would be your minor key. So in other words, if you know, just like in a phone book, when there are a lot of people whose last name is Smith, the overall sort groups all of the Smiths together, and then the minor key, which is the first name, puts all of them in order, all the Smiths, all those rows in order based on the first name. So that's what the major and the minor key is. The major is the overall sort, and then when people share the same major key value, like all of the people whose last name is Smith, though that group is then sorted based on their first name. And I want to show you a little trick with that order by clause. When I say order by 1, 2, what am I saying there? What does that mean? I haven't shown you that before. Well, in your select statement, unbeknownst to you, I haven't had to explain this. SQL keeps track. It orders the number. It assigns a number to each of the columns that you select. The first column is assigned the number 1. The second column is assigned number 2 and 3 and 4 and so forth. Well, we only have 2 columns here, so this is item 1 and this is item 2. So just to take any kind of a shortcut, if you're going to use the order by, I could have said order by last name, comma, first name, or to take a shortcut, I could say order by the number 1 item in the select statement, which is last name, as the major key. The major key is always first, and then the minor key is second, which is ordering, the minor key is the second item in the select statement or first name. So again, this is number 1, this is number 2, and I can refer to them according to their order number in the select statement, or item number 1 and item number 2 in the select statement above. Okay, kind of got off track there. Where I really want to focus on is this where clause, where again I'm searching a character column, the last name column. I'm going to search based on a character string. This is an exact literal value. I want the exact name of Miller, and I don't want to have to worry about the case of the letters. So let's first of all, if a user came to us with this request to list all the students who have a last name of Miller and we want to see their last and their first names, I would, of course, as we've done in the past, we've had to take a look at your schema picture, determine where is that data, and we would figure out that it is in the student table. And the name of the table is student. The columns we want to see are first name, last name. Those are the 2 columns. So we have to use those exact column names and that exact table name of student. Then I'm going to take a look at the data. So in the schema packet, I've scrolled here to the student table, and there are so many last names. I don't want to manually have to go through here and figure out if somebody's last name is Miller, how did they store the case of the letter? Was it up, first letter upper, the rest lower, or some combination? There's no way I'm going to take the time to read through there and with my eyes try to find all of the Millers and how the case of the letter, how it was used when the data was stored. Well, good news is I don't have to do that. This upper clause allows me to get around that. As long as in the table the name Miller was spelled correctly, I do not have to worry about the case of the letter. If I say I want you to view all of the last name columns as if they're all uppercase letters, but please be sure, this is the most common mistake, please be sure to use all uppercase letters in the character string. If you ask SQL to view all of the last names as if they were uppercase letters, and then you use lowercase letters here, it will not match. It'll tell you there are no Millers. So you have to be consistent. If you're saying uppercase letters on this side of the equal sign, you must use uppercase letters on this side. So be consistent, upper compared to upper. Because as you know, an uppercase M is not equal to a lowercase m, and the same for the letter I, L, L, E, R. They have to be the same letter case to make a match. So if you're saying view all the last names as uppercase letters, you better be comparing to all uppercase letters in your character string. Okay, so we'll go to SQL here, and let's do edit 3B. And at this point, I'm assuming you've taken the time and you've typed in the select statement, you've figured this out. So what I have highlighted in blue is what your task was. Again, each and every one of these is a wonderful sample test question. On the test, the same thing's going to happen. You'll be given queries, and this, what I have highlighted in blue, would be called your query. And then you have to be able to figure out the select statement that will answer that query or give the person the data that they want. So let's save it. at 3B, and you'll see, as it turns out, that there are 3 Millers, and again, the overall sort was based on the last name. They all are Miller, so of course they're all the same, but the minor key told it to sort based on the first name, and you can see then they are alphabetized based on their first name. Okay, going to keep working here. Before I even look at 3C, I want to do something instead. I want to come here first and go to the schema, and I want to take a look here. I'm going to go to the top of the zip code table. Again, I want to remind you of these names: zip, city, and state, and the name of the table is zip code. And I'm going to say someone has come to me and they want to see all of the cities and states, but they want it displayed in a special format. So before I do anything, before I look at it, can I do this? Can I say at 3C? I want you to execute it before we look at it. This is one of those that I have completed for you. So at 3C, and I'm going to scroll this back up to the top, and you'll see what is happening. And again, don't worry about how frequently your headers show up, where you see city name and state name. Don't worry about how frequently you see those. We talked about how to control that earlier, and I'm not going to worry about it anymore. But do you see that for this city column where I'm doing that, where I'm displaying the city name, I have allowed up to exactly 20 characters to display the city name. Any city that is less than 20 characters is padded on the right with asterisks. See that? So all of these cities that take less than 20 characters, they are padded up to 20 characters with an asterisk on the right. Now let's look at the state name. The state name, which is really not a state name, it's a state code, but I've allowed 10 characters for this column, and I've told it to pad on the left with a hyphen now instead. Instead of an asterisk, I'm using a hyphen, excuse me. I'm using a hyphen, and the hyphen is padded on the left this time to make it the total length of 10. So and because all of the state codes happen to be exactly 2 characters, every one of them leads with, on the left, 8 hyphens, and then the state code. I also want you to notice the column name. Do you see how that says city, space, name, state, space? How did that happen? Well, let's take a look. First of all, I want to go in and edit 3C. I want to first of all talk about the R pad and the L pad. I'm going to put this beside each other so we can see it. Can you focus just on that much? And if you're taking a look at the format back on the previous page in the script file where I'm showing you the RPAD, you see that it's the RPAD function, and the RPAD function calls for 3 parameters. The column you wish to display is the first parameter, and you can see that over here, it's the city. The second parameter is the width that you want to allow for that column, and you can see that all of these city names are given exactly 20 characters. And then the pad character, and I know that seems tedious with the syntax, but that an asterisk is a character string, so it must be enclosed inside a single quotes, and it is your third parameter. And what you're saying here is display the city, the width of the column should be exactly 20 characters, and pad on the right with an asterisk to make it go all the way up to 20 characters, to pad it out to exactly 20. So every city name will take up exactly 20 characters in this report, and those that are less than 20 will be padded on the right with an asterisk. And that's how you have accomplished this. Then I'm doing the exact same thing, if you can focus just on this much, doing the exact same thing with the state code, only I'm using L for LPAD. But again, it calls for 3 parameters. The first column is the column you wish to display. The second is the width, which is 10, a width of 10. And then the third parameter tells you what you're padding with. It's a hyphen. Again, a hyphen is a character string, so it has to be inside of single quotes. And the LPAD and the RPAD clearly are identical. The syntax is identical. Pretty much the logic is the same, except for one pad's on the left and one pad's on the right. So I did all of that for every single city and state in the zip code table. I displayed all of them in that format. So you see the RPAD and the LPAD are simply there. So number 1, you can control the width of a column. And number 2, if you'd like to do some padding with a special symbol, you can do that as well. Finally, something else is new here. Now, take a look at this syntax. Look at what I've highlighted. Everything I've highlighted in blue is what I have to say about the city. All I'm really accomplishing with all of that syntax that I've highlighted in blue is displaying the city. Now I wanted it to be fancy. I wanted to control the width of 20, and I want to pad on the right with an asterisk. And the last thing I need to tell you is what I also wanted to include what is called a column alias. A column alias is how you assign a column header. You can dictate exactly how the column header should read, and it must be enclosed inside of double quotes. But you see, all of this is what I have to say about simply displaying that very first column, and it involves all of that syntax. Now, this comma is extremely important. That is the delimiter. That is saying that is all I have to say about my first item, which is the city. That's all I have to say. But I did, in fact, say a lot. I decided all I'm really displaying is the city, but I'm controlling the width. I'm doing some fancy stuff by padding on the right, and I'm also dictating exactly how the column header should read. Now, please pay attention to what I have highlighted in blue. Column aliases must be enclosed inside of double quotes. There are only ever 2 times ever that you will have the need for double quotes in SQL, and the other time is extremely rare, and we won't get to that until chapter 4. So just know that column aliases must use double quotes. Any other time, only ever use single quotes. There's only, like I said, there's one very rare exception, so keep that in mind. That's called a column alias. What it simply means, you see what I have here highlighted in blue? That's how I was able to accomplish these headers here: city name, state name, because I assigned what is called a column alias. Okay, so that is why much earlier in one of the earlier videos I told you we will get to where each item that we select will be on a line by itself, because we're going to grow how much we're going to say about each item. So again, what I have in blue, all of that is just to display the city. We want it polished up, we want to give a specific column header, but all of that is just for the city, and it just makes it easier on your eyes then if you skip to a new line to start your next, which is the state code. Just a lot easier to read and follow if every one of the items you're selecting is on a line by itself. And again, I can't stress enough, I've seen students waste a half hour to an hour on a test just because they forget to use these commas. This is a delimiter, and delimiters are used in other places, but primarily in 2 different places. They're used inside of these functions to separate the parameters. As you can see here, I have to have 3 parameters inside of parentheses for the rpad function. That's one place. And then the other place that they are used is, this is everything that I am dictating for the city column. Now this is used again as a delimiter to say, okay, I'm done. I am now going to go on and tell you what I want to say about the next column in my select statement. And again, be careful, do not put a comma after the last item. So that tiny little bit of syntax is by far the most the thing that will cause most students the most headache, is being very careful with how to use delimiters. So again, when you're using a function inside of parentheses, you must use the delimiter to separate your parameters. As in this function, I have 3 parameters. And then you use the comma to separate, or to say when you are done with all of the information you're supplying about a specific column. So be very careful with that. Okay, so if you read here, I said, to go back up, I say use the zip code table, display the city in a column that's 20 positions wide, and pad on the right with an asterisk. And then I tell you to also display the state column 10 positions, and pad on the left with a hyphen. And I also say to use column aliases. The last thing to say about column aliases, because I will from time to time use these col commands. Remember how the col command works. After the word col, you have to have your exact column name that you're referring to. Once you assign an alias, that is the name it has. So if you refer to city anywhere else outside of this select statement, as I have here in a col command, you must use that alias name. You can't, where I'm going to highlight this in blue, I can no longer put city here because that column is no longer known as city. Once I assign this alias, that is not only serves as your header, but it's also what that column is known as for the duration of this SQL program. So if outside of this select statement, as in this col command, I want to issue a col command for the city, and it has to be complete with the double quotes. Oftentimes I'll do this. I'll just copy it here and paste it here so I know they're identical. Keep in mind that will be the case. And then finally, another thing to remember, select statements are the true SQL language. They must end with a / Commands like clear screen and these call commands, they are what's called plus commands. They are there just in the SQL plus environment to give you like plus stuff, to give you that added pretty stuff, the added special stuff. Those are not a part of the true SQL language. They are only there in the Oracle SQL Plus environment. They do not, absolutely do not follow with a / So be careful. Only use that / after commands that are part of the true SQL language, and up to this point, and for quite some time, that will just be the select statement. Okay, like I did last time when I left off, I would like you to turn off the video and try to do 3D like dog.